Hello everybody, my name is Christian Quick and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about mod blocks. So the first thing that we're going to need for mod blocks is, well, something that I'll note is that blocks are slightly more complicated than items because with an item exists in your hand and does not exist in the world. A block can exist both your hand as an item, but once it's placed in the world, it is always a block and is no longer an item. So it will have all the item stuff because when it's in your hand, despite us calling it a block, it is an item when it's in your hand. Anything that's in your hand is an item. But keeping that aside, we're going to put a new package and we're going to make this called block. And then we are going to call a new Java class called mod blocks. And from here, right off the bat, we can do basically the same thing. So the first thing we did when we made the mod item is we made the item that we are looking for. So we can do public static final, and instead of an item, we are making a block. And then I was actually asked, I asked somebody what they thought, what kind of block should I make? And they said cement was a good idea. So from here, we are going to register block, B-L-O-C-K, there we go. And in here, it is going to be the same thing. So we're going to have a name. So the name, all lowercase, S-E-M-E-N-T, cement. And here we're going to do new B-L-O-C block. And then in here, we are going to do abstract block dot settings dot of, and now we're going to put in a material. So we'll type in material dot, and here we have a list of things that we want. And I would say that probably out of all of these options that we have, it's definitely not water, I would say stone. Now after this, we can do dot, and then there is a bunch of things that we can put in. But we're not going to worry too much about this because this is mainly just putting the block in. We'll get to block specifics later. No, let's just have it like this. Let's come on the outside, and then we are going to ask for our mod item group dot mod blocks. So now this will register our block completely. So now we are going to need two things. So we are going to need to register the block, just like how we did last time. So we can do public static block register block, because that is what we had. And then we can do string name, because it needs a name. And you can see that as I type in name, I can call this whatever I want. But this is your variable, and this is what you're using. So I'm using a string. A string is kind of like a bunch of text, usually is what it's used as. But you can make anything, you can make anything your variable. We just call it whatever we want. And I call it name because that's what I'm using it for. If I had a collection of something, so like if I had a collection of cars or something like that, it would say your cars, but cement's not a car, it's a block. I could if I want, call it block, like block name, and so it would come up like that. But I just non-specifying it, so that's your variable. We just call it that. And then we have block, and it's going to be block, and that is talking about this next thing. Now, because it's not a string, it doesn't have a name like that. It's basically saying I'm looking for a block. So it is talking about this, and like I said, there's all the specifics of the block, but that counts under all of that. And the last thing is the I want an item group, and we're going to call this item group. From here, we need it to return Uh, let's say return block, but we don't want it to return itself. We need to make a new item, and this is going to be for the registry for the item group. So we have that. Then we have name, yep, block, yep, and then group. So this is kind of like doing it like a super class sort of. And then let's put in return registry, re registry with the T dot register, and then we'll do register re-register, right? No, it's registries, isn't it? Yeah, TRIES dot block, new identifier, ID identifier, and the identifier is going to be the mod, and then it's the name, and then outside of this we'll have the block, little colon. So right now we only have one issue, and that is the register block item, because now we are going to need the register block item, which is to help put the stuff inside the bucket, quotes, I'll call it the item group itself. So we'll do private static item, and then we are going to call this the register block item. So now this is what we're working on, and it's going to need the string name block, yep, and then item group, and then from here we are going to need item, and it's going to equal registry dot register, and then it's going to need registries dot item, and because even though we are registering a block, so this is basically when it's in our hand, this would be like when it's in the world, I guess, because that's just how Minecraft works. I know it always appears like a block, but when it's in your hand, it's an item. New identifier, h2h3 dot mod ID name, and then we're going to comma, and then we're going to have new block item, and then we're going to have block new fabric item settings. It's because this, there you go. Haha. I thought something was off. Alright, moving on. We have the item group events. We're going to do this. Dot modify the event group, and this is just dot register. This is just for the item group. So we already called the group, so now we need to do entries like this. Entries dot add, and then we're going to need the, actually, yeah, it is an item. I was going to say block, but then I'm like, no, it's in your hand. It's for the item. Oh, and then in here, we're going to need to return item. That's that. And the last thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to initialize everything. So the best way to do that is to public static void, and then we can do, I hit shift twice, register mod blocks, and we'll put this, and then here, and then we gotta do the HTML3 logger, make sure it's logger, not mod ID, dot info, and then in here, I remember this tricked me up last time, reg ISTER registering, and then we'll say mod blocks for, we'll put a little space in it, plus HMH3 mod ID. There we go. And so now we just need to call this, and we can easily do that by going into this one, and we can do mod blocks dot register mod blocks. Now it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter if you have your blocks on top of your items. I just would recommend that if you, unless I say put it at the top or specifically say where to put it, you should be able to just put it wherever. Make sure that your mod blocks is under your item group, because if you remember, if you don't have the stuff in it, it won't work. So actually, let's, for the sake of this, let's do mod blocks. This way you have both examples, and then we'll do cement. All right, and then let us just open up the world, and let's just see if it is in there before we start doing all the crazy magic with all the things that get done with it. So now we did actually two things. We already made the item group last time, but now you can see how it's here. It's not working, and you can see it's dark. And when I place it in the world, so right now it's an item because it's in my hand. I place it like that. That is what an item looks like in the world. That is what a block looks like in the world. there is a big difference between block and item. So with that in mind, it is working, but for some of the things that we've already started, there's just a couple of new things. So we'll keep that running in the background just because, I guess. But now we need to work on all the special resources that kind of come through it. Let's say last time we typed it in and there was all this. There's another way that you can do this. So if I go to external libraries and I go to where it starts, it says yarn, I gotta want to go 1, 2, on the third one, and then from here I want to go to data, Minecraft, and then from here is all the special stuff that we have in here. Oh wait, not even data, assets. Minecraft. This is the special stuff that we're working with. So the first thing that we need to make is a block state. So let's say I want to make a block, right? The first thing I want to look at is a full-on block. And if I'm looking for a specific block, or if I know what it is, I can just start typing it in here. So here we have crying obsidian, and you can see it's variance model, and then here it is. So if I just go like this, Control C, and then I just want to come back up to where I'm going, I need to come up here. We're going to make a new directory, and this one is going to be called block states. And then we're going to make new file, and then we're going to call this what our block is. So cement dot JSON. So your block dot JSON. And then from here I can just copy and paste. And so now when we're copy and pasting from something from Minecraft like this, we're going to keep the block on there. We only need to change this. This is basically Minecraft's mod ID, and we need to change that to what ours is. So in this case, it's HMH3. You would put whatever your mod is there, and then here you would replace the crying obsidian with whatever your block is. So this would be CEMENT. Right? And then for the models, we are going to need to make a new directory called blocks. No, block. So we have item, we have block, and then here we're going to make a file, new file, CEMENT dot JSON. And then let's say I don't remember how to do models. You do the same thing. You just kind of go here, models, block. Think of a solid block that you can just think of. And so like let's go back to the crying obsidian. We are going to take something in which the textures are on all sides, right? So we're going to come over here, we're going to Control C, and then we're going to come up to where we are, and to block, cement, and then we're going to Control V. And then here, So we have Minecraft, block all cue balls. So am I going to change both of these to my mod? No. The parent is basically the format for what is going on here. So this is basically saying Minecraft has a block format in which whatever texture is on there, it will put that texture on all sides. Now, when it comes to the textures, it's basically saying calling it all. So the texture that will be going on all sides, it is going to be using Minecraft's block crying obsidian texture on our cement block, because that is what this file is called, and that's not true. We want it to be ours, so we'll do HMH3 block, and then we want it to be CEME cement. So now all we need to do is we would need to go into our textures. We're going to go in here, new, directory, and here we'll call it block. We'll come in here. And now if I went to come into Minecraft and I went into their textures and their block, if I tried to type in cement, already I have a problem. And if I just kept going, it turns red because Minecraft does not have a cement block. We have to put in more work and effort to making a cement block. So let's make a texture. Now, when I personally make a texture, I like to have a reference. And my best reference would be Google. And then I'm going to look up cement. We're going to go into some images. We got a nice soldier guy. And then I think this is a pretty good rough texture. Here we have what cement looks like solid-like. So let's say let's look up specifically what we're looking at. So let's say dried cement. So now we have some cement flooring, dried cement, so it gives me some wet stuff. That's great. Some massively wet stuff. Let's use this. So let is copy image, paste it into our thing, and then from here, this is what we got. So the best thing I can do from here is we're gonna make a new. Actually, let's try and grab the biggest square I can. So I said square. I can actually check how big my square is with down here while I'm doing it. So if I have, let's say, and then I want it to be dividable by a good number. So if I said 100 and what is the 128 by 128? Yeah. And then I can make this, I could put this anywhere I want. But then let's say Control C, and then let's file new. I would do 128, 128. Okay. Control V, and then from here, this is what our cement is looking like. It's looking extreme. Now I could put this right here in the game. Let me use help in the function. Is it help? Run a command, tile seamless. This will make it so that the edges can repeat themselves, so it's hard to tell if there is a block in or not. Then I can do image, scale image, and then I can make it, let's say, 16 by 16 scale, and this is now our cement block. I can try and make sure that is still tile seamless. It should be, but we're still going to do this just in case. Okay, look at that, nothing changed. So now we're going to file, export as pictures, and then we got this CMENT, export, export. Perfect. So now we're going to need to go into our pictures, and we have our cement texture. So let's come up to our block, and let's put this in. Refactor. So now we have cement in the game. If there is something that we're missing, it is going to be the lang. And from here we can copy this, and it is not an item. It is going to be a block.hmh3, and it's going to be called, it's the CMENT, And then what do we want it to be called for in the game? It's going to be CEMENT, so with that capital letter, and then we're going to need to put a little comma. Oh, notice how the whole thing's an error, comma, and then we're good. Everything should now exist. It's got a block state. So a block state is how is it looking in the world? Is it functioning? How many? What is the state of the block? So like if I had a lamp, like the redstone lamp, a redstone lamp has two states because it points to is it receiving power? Then it is on. Is it not receiving power? It is off. So those are two states that the block has, um, but we don't mess with that. We'll get to it later when we like for stairs, every single like the direction that we get into it um, will be a problem. I did forget something. When I place in the world, it should be fine. And then you'll notice that if I place a bunch of it, because we did that tile seamless, it'll be fine. So this is what the cement looks like. It's not the worst texture in the world when you kind of just did it really, really quickly off the bat. If you are new to making textures, this does get better through time, and also your textures will look better the more effort you put into it. I could probably put like a specialized line, or I could try and include that cement line from the beginning. Right now, I'm not going to put that cement line that is here. Um, we're just going to leave that be. But we do need to fix the item. So I did forget something. So every time, remember how I said that it's going to require everything. A block is an item. It's a special item. It is an item that can be placed in the world. So it does need an item model as well. We can look this up. Model, block an item model, right? And then if I look up, let's say, crying obsidian, because that was the example I just kept using, you can see that the parent is the block. And so there is, so this is basically Minecraft formatting was talking about parenting, and that's what's going to make it give it that like 3D look when you are looking at a block. But models, item, and then here we're going to do file CEMENT dot JSON, and then we're going to control V, and then here we're going to do HTML3, and then CEM cement. I didn't mean to put a comma in there. And now it should be fully functioning. Everything should be there. We should have our block. When I look into the item tab, it should be in the item tab as well, and it should be that 3D look that it should have. So let's take a peek. We're opening it up. Reading world data. I think that's what it said. Open it up. And look at that. It is a beautiful 3D block. It's in our hand texture. I think this person's name is Zari. Could be wrong. There's 7 new default textures. If you're using IntelliJ, your player will be your player data is gone. There isn't any player data, so that's why my default skin will change. Also, if I was to die, you'll notice that your name changes to player. So that's that. But anyways, with that in mind, we have our item placed. We got our blocks. And even in our creative tab, we have our mod blocks, and you can see a mod block example being pulled somewhere in the code. But that is everything. That is your mod block, all good and ready to go. You can make as many of these as you want. If you want to be fancy, you can try and look at the special stuff that you can give them. The dot strength, so how strong is it? I saw it right here. Non-opaque. We'll go over these eventually. Not too long from here. Slipperiness, that's an interesting one. Resistance, this is talking about blast resistance. So if you want to try and add some of those, luminance, does it have light? That is actually one of them that we'll be going over. But all right, that is it. Your block is in the game. Congratulations, you survived this far. If only you can imagine what kind of stuff we're going to be moving in. So we're going to be moving into data stuff. Oop, I didn't mean to put that in there. That's going to be a bug. We're going to be moving into some data stuff. And data is really interesting because it is going to make data is how we can obtain things in survival. Data shows how, like, when we break it, how it gives us the block back. Because if you don't have that loot table, it's gone. So we're going to be getting into all that stuff in the next, like, 3 videos, I think, are concerning data. So hopefully you guys aren't too uh, misunderstanding. I hope I'm trying to explain things, like, slowly, and in each video I'm telling you a little bit something more of the code. If you don't understand everything, don't worry about it. If there's something that I've learned from coding, it's that at the very beginning, you just kind of, uh, I don't want to say copy and paste. You don't know what you're doing until you use it enough that suddenly it starts to make sense. Once it starts making sense, then you'll feel better about it. But as of now, if you're completely new to this, you have no Java knowledge, you have no idea what's going on, the more you use the stuff, the more that you see the words being used somewhere, the more that you'll notice stuff being used and just how important things are by how they're being used. But don't worry about it. Eventually we'll just be going through everything, and the more stuff that you are able to make even without any Java knowledge, even if you simply just copied and pasted it, everything, you still didn't know any Java knowledge, you can at least feel accomplished that you now know how to make blocks, you now know how to make items. Those are the very, like, that is the base core of Minecraft. But not until we're like halfway through this, Minecraft is simply you break stuff to make stuff, you make stuff to break stuff, and as long as you know how to do that, you're you are the Minecrafter. But as of now, that is all that we're going to be doing for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado,